I've heard people say that spring break changes you. They mean it as a good thing. A week of sun and freedom and the particular looseness that comes from being 20 years old and untethered. They're right that it changes you. They're just wrong about the direction, because the spring break I'm about to describe changed me in ways I am still, 4 years later, actively working through with a therapist who has heard the whole story twice and still looks at me with that careful, measured expression that professionals use when they don't want to tell you how bad something actually was. We went to have the time of our lives. 3 of us drove 14 hours to get there. Only 2 of us drove home. And the one who didn't, she made it back eventually, just not with us, and not in a way any of us had planned for. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I was a 20-year-old sophomore at a mid-sized state university in the Midwest, and spring break was the first real trip I'd taken without my parents. There were 3 of us, me, my roommate Cassie, and our friend Bree, who was the most adventurous of us and the one who had planned the whole thing. Bree was the kind of person who treated logistics like a game. She was always winning. She'd booked a rental house 2 months in advance. A 3-bedroom place in a coastal Florida town that wasn't one of the famous ones. Not Panama City, not Daytona. Smaller, quieter, she said, more our speed. The photos online showed a yellow house set back from the beach with a screened porch and a gas grill and a hammock between 2 palms. It looked like the cover of a feeling we were all desperate to have. We arrived on a Saturday afternoon after the longest drive of my life. The town was small. 1 main commercial strip, a few beach bars, a grocery store, a bait shop. The rental house was exactly what the photos showed. The host had left a lockbox on the door with the code in the confirmation email. We let ourselves in, dropped our bags, and were on the beach within 20 minutes. Everything felt exactly right. That's the detail I keep coming back to. Everything felt exactly right. The first 2 days were perfect in the uncomplicated way that only exists when you're young and the weather is good and nothing has gone wrong yet. We met other groups on the beach, stayed out until 2, slept until 10. We were careful. We stayed together. We watched each other's drinks. We had the whole system that girls develop out of necessity. We were not careless people. I need that to be understood. We were not careless. The wrongness started on the 3rd evening. We'd come back from the beach around 6 to shower and change before going out. Bree went to her room and came back out almost immediately with an expression I hadn't seen on her before. She asked if either of us had been in her room while she was at the beach. We hadn't. Cassie and I had been together the entire time. Bree said her toiletry bag had been moved. She'd left it on the dresser, and it was now on the bathroom shelf inside the room. She was precise about this. Bree was always precise. She said she would not have put it there. We did what you do. We found a reason. Maybe she had moved it herself without registering it. Maybe the cleaning service the host had mentioned had come by. We checked the host's welcome booklet. It said, Cleaning was provided on departure only. We texted the host asking if anyone had accessed the property. He responded within minutes saying, "No, absolutely not. Only we had the code." We went out. We put it aside. We had a good night. The second thing happened the following afternoon. I was the one who noticed it. I'd left a novel on the screened porch before we went to the beach. Face down, open to my page on the small table beside the hammock. When we returned, the book was closed, not moved, closed, spine up. Someone had closed my book and set it down. I stood looking at it for a long time. Cassie was behind me. I heard her go very quiet. We checked the lockbox code. It had not been changed. We checked every window and door, all locked from the inside or requiring a key from the outside. The sliding back door had a security bar that we had placed ourselves. It was still in position. There was no sign of forced entry anywhere. The host, when I called him this time instead of texting, sounded genuinely confused and told me the property had a coded lockbox and he was the only other person with the code. He offered to call the management company. I said yes. Nobody from the management company called back. That night, none of us slept particularly well. We'd pushed the dresser in front of Bree's bedroom door, the master, which had an ensuite, and Cassie slept in my room, both of us in the twin beds with the door locked. We told ourselves we were being paranoid. We also did not move the dresser. The third thing happened at 2:17 in the morning. I know the time because I was awake and looking at my phone when I heard it. A sound from directly above, a slow, dragging sound, like something heavy being repositioned. I grabbed Cassie's arm. She was already awake. We stared at the ceiling. The sound came again, slow, deliberate, ceiling, above us. The house had an attic. We had not thought about the attic once since arriving. I looked up its access point in the morning. A pull-down panel in the ceiling of the hallway, the kind with a folding ladder. We had walked under it probably 30 times. I stood beneath it now and looked at the edges of the panel. Along one edge, there was a small, dark smear. I photographed it. When I showed the photo to a friend who is now a nurse, weeks later at home, she said it looked like it could be a partial fingerprint in grease or oil on the inside edge of a ceiling panel. On the inside. We left that morning, not dramatically. Bree wanted to stay, argued that we were scaring ourselves, that old houses made sounds. Cassie and I packed our bags in 40 minutes and carried them to the car. Bree stood in the kitchen looking at us, and then something shifted in her face, and she packed her bag too. We were supposed to check out Friday. We left Wednesday. We drove to a chain hotel 40 minutes up the coast, paid for 2 nights out of pocket, and spent the rest of spring break in a room with a deadbolt and a security chain and a view of a parking lot. It wasn't what we'd planned. It was the best we could do. On Thursday night, our last night, Bree went alone to the hotel vending machine down the hall. This was 9:30 p.m., a lit corridor, 40 feet from our room. She was gone 11 minutes before I noticed and went to check. The hallway was empty. The vending machine was running, humming. No Bree. I called her phone. It rang from inside our room. She'd left it on the bed. I ran to the front desk. I was not calm. The clerk called security. Security checked the hallway, the stairwells, the parking lot. Cassie was in the room in case Bree came back. 22 minutes after she'd left, the security guard found her in the stairwell at the end of the hall, one floor down, sitting on a step, not speaking, knees pulled to her chest. She was physically unharmed. She would not say what happened in the stairwell or how she got there. She did not speak for the rest of that night. In the car the next morning, 6 hours into the drive home, she finally talked. She said that in the stairwell, a man had spoken to her, that he had come from the door below and stood on the landing and looked at her, that he had known her name, that he had told her that we should not have left the yellow house early. He knew her name. He knew we had been at the yellow house. He knew we had left. We went to the police when we got home. We filed a report. We contacted the local police in the coastal town where the rental house was. We contacted the rental platform. The host's account was reviewed and subsequently removed from the platform. We were told this weeks later, with no elaboration. The management company had no record of our maintenance request or the follow-up call that was never returned. The attic was inspected by local authorities following our report. I was not told officially what they found, if anything. Bree was told. She was the primary complainant on the local report, and she called me afterward and didn't say much. She said there was evidence that the space had been accessed recently. She said they found a few things up there that didn't belong. She did not describe the things. I did not push. Bree transferred universities the following fall. She lives in a city now, high floor of an apartment building, doorman downstairs. She is doing better. We still talk, though less than before. Some things create a closeness, and some things create a distance, and sometimes they are the same event. I have never stayed in a rental property since. I understand that makes me difficult to travel with. I understand it is statistically excessive as a response. I also understand that someone was in the ceiling above my bed while I slept, that he knew our names, that he watched us leave and sent someone to find us 40 minutes up the coast and communicate to Bree in a hotel stairwell on a Thursday night that he was not finished. That last part is what I cannot square. The logistics of it, the coordination, the fact that he knew which hotel. We thought we'd left him behind when we drove away from the yellow house. We thought distance meant safety. We were 20 years old, and we thought a lot of things. The rental listing is gone now. The yellow house with the hammock between two palms and the screened porch and the gas grill, gone from every platform we've checked. But somewhere in a small Florida coastal town, the house is still there, still yellow, still set back from the beach. The lockbox is probably still on the door, and the code probably still works.